Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. My name is Don Swanker. I will call the Jackson County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. To my left, I got Mike Steinis.
Good morning.
To my right, I got Nan Flegel, Bjorn from IT, Lisa from the auditor's office. Brittany is online. We have Brian Donnelly from the county attorney's office. Several other people in the back. Who else do we have online? We have Michael. We have Brent, we have Michael, Cluner,
Keener.
Keener, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And first up on the agenda today is Brent Kilberg and Michael Keener to talk about the sheriff's salary. You guys have the floor.
Well, thank you to the board for their time today. My name is Michael Keener. I represent Sheriff Kilberg. Wanted to speak with you today as I know that the compensation board recommendations are coming before you and you're looking to set the salaries of elected officials. There was discussion about this in the comp board meeting, specifically as it relates to sheriff's salary. Now, when it comes to elected officials, of course, the sheriff's salary is different than the rest in that we do have Iowa Code 331.9071, which is commonly known as the Back the Blue law, which requires the board to set the salary at a level that's comparable to other counties of similar population, as well as cities and states or cities of equal population, and then other state law enforcement officials. Now, the comp board looked at those numbers and came up with an 11.5% increase, which the sheriff's position would be that, while it's not what was asked for, that is more closely in line with the dictates of 331.907. The concerns the sheriff has is, having seen the posted budget, the salary increase is not going to be at a level that he feels is within the mandate of section 331.907, and thus would be a violation of the law. And so his ask would be that in setting his salary, it would be as the comp board recommended, an 11.5% increase, to fall within section 331.907, which frankly the county probably has not been in compliance with since it passed in 2024. So he asked me to come here today to again stress that point. He's the top law enforcement official on the ground in the county who is tasked and with enforcing the laws of the state of Iowa within Jackson County, and his ask is only that the board here does the same. If you look at the numbers that were provided to the comp board of the comparable counties, of the comparable city populations, and those salaries, his current salary lags pretty far behind. And here we have a chance to get the board and the county back in line with the law in the state of Iowa. So the ask is that his salary for FY27 be set at the level recommended by the comp board at an 11.5% increase. Because if we can't get him there, then for yet another year, Jackson County will be in violation of the law. So I think in looking at the numbers as they've been provided to the board, it seems to us, to the sheriff, it's pretty clear where he needs to be. So the ask would be simply that the board follows the law of the state of Iowa, just as same way he enforces it for all the residents of Jackson County. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Or if there's any further discussion, happy to contribute to it.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Keener?
I don't.
No, I don't think we have any questions. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you very much. Oh, next up, we got the public hearing, so why don't we recess at this time? Okay, we'll go ahead and reconvene at this time, and we're gonna jump ahead a little bit to Jaden Shekel, the Jackson County engineer, for his updates and possible actions.
Alrighty, the first item on the agenda is a residential entrance. I propose that we table that till next time. With all the weather last week, our crews did not get there to do our checks yet, so we're still in progress on that, so. We recommend tabling until next week.
I would make a motion to table our residential permit.
I would say, do we need action on it if we don't even discuss it? I would second it.
Got a motion by Ned, second by Mike to table the entrance permit that's on the agenda till next week, just to make sure we have all the information we need. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is discussion on the Timber City Adventure Race, so the yearly request from the Macokota Chamber for our department to perform any necessary trail sweeping and then to temporarily close Hurstville Road, starting from the Kilns, going to the Macokota city limits at Pershing Road, and then also the intersection of 63rd Street and Hurstville Road. Their event will be held on June 27th. And so this really is just to approve for us to temporarily close those roads, and we'll have the staff there, like as we have the last couple of years, to do the closure the day before, to get up all the signs set up the day before, and then probably be there that day of the race to pick everything up if need be. And then I know they've been in discussion with the sheriff's office as far as having a deputy there for the intersection of 63rd Street, as people would want to cross, that intersection going on 63rd to Rockdale Road. Basically same process as the last 2 years, but that annual request has come forward, so just looking for.
I sit on the committee for the adventure race, and the only change for this year is they're including a small race. So the normal race goes from Fifth Street Boat Ramp to Iron Bridge. Iron Bridge, they get out of their canoe, they bike up to 62, down to Rockdale Road, take Rockdale Road over up to the lime kilns. They get off their bike, they run the normal route. They are including a smaller version of the adventure race where they get in Fifth Street, get out in Bridgeport. Then they get on their bike at Bridgeport and they bike up 62 to Rockdale, cross over back to the kilns. So it's a shorter race called there. I don't know what they're gonna call it, a sprint, a trek, or whatever. This is in somewhat preparation to see if we can get more people to do it, because it's not as tedious or daunting of an event. But it's also in preparation if we are doing Iron Bridge the following year, then they will have a pre-planned route where they can just run an abbreviated race. And because we won't be able to get out at Iron Bridge due to construction, and nobody thought going to Damon Bridge was a good idea, and they're coming back to town. So this is a kind of a preparation to get ready for that for next year. So there will be a little different signage on 62 because you'll have it coming from Andrew like we did last year, but then from Bridgeport going to the east, there will be bikers going up to Rockdale, and then they will turn at Rockdale and take the rest of the, so it's a little small, shorter canoe, shorter bike, right, same run. So it's just an abbreviated. So that's the only change. And there's just a little, I think it's not so much additional signage, it's just moving the sign a little closer to town to let people know. So, and that's on 62. So
Don, I have a question for you on that. Being one of the people that went and retrieved bikes, are they changing how they have, or maybe it's for Jaden, how we have Hurstville closed off there at 61? Because with that being one of the most dangerous intersections in our county for accidents, and then they have the fence so close up to the highway that you're literally parking on the highway, getting out and loading bikes on Highway 61.
you shouldn't actually, they put it that way so nobody uses that intersection, period. you come down and they will let pickup riders go up there and get their bike and come back down on Hurstville Road.
They would not let you go that way to pick up bikes.
Well, what we don't want is, that was a very dangerous intersection I witnessed when we used to cross 61. Several
Right.
people come really close, so that's, we can talk to secondary roads, how you want it, we're right. That was to appease kind of the state. And so we didn't want anybody coming off 61, not knowing about the race, to try to turn there, so they wanted it very obvious. That's why it was placed where it was.
Well, then that maybe needs to just be, again, this maybe isn't the place, but a communication then with the people that they need to allow pickup people to go down Hurstville, but they absolutely wouldn't let anybody go down Hurstville with the motorized vehicle.
Yeah. Cause I know the biggest threats to the people when they were crossing 61 were the pickup drivers. They didn't care. They were part of the race, and so we'll look into that and we'll see. what
So
we
is
can
there
do.
regulations as far as state highway there?
So we are not doing anything with this, like, we're not authorizing the closure of the state high, all this is for is just for our
Not
secondary.
closing the state highway, but obviously we're alternating traffic there at that intersection.
It's, I mean, it's so temporary, it's only gonna be a
We-
few hour event.
I just.
It's 2 hour event, but cause they have to let some traffic, cause there are businesses up there that need to allow, so to me, that those business getting up to, Clockies and junkies and stuff like that, they always used to allow people that needed to get there. It's just a lot of people do to avoid that intersection, so I don't see where they can 100% not let people in there. But we'll talk and we can communicate.
Yeah, it'd basically be shutting it down to through traffic.
Right.
Allowing the local traffic only.
Right.
So to clarify the intersection of Rockdale there also, it's not closed, but it's monitored. Correct?
It'll
I
be-
mean, it's not closed, you can still cross.
Yeah, and I think that's why in the past, the sheriff, or they've always requested a sheriff's deputy there to help.
I agree, because you can't close it all the way from the other end of 62 and say this road's closed, you can't get through. I mean, if they come to that intersection, they can cross, correct? It's not closed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
They can cross.
So it's monitored.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's, I guess I
We'll
wouldn't
work
call
on
it a
that.
hard closure. I don't know if there's such thing as a soft closure, but
We'll work on that. So.
I
Do
guess
you
we
need
need a
action on-
motion to
Yeah.
approve, to have the secondary roads go ahead with the request of the 10% adventure race. I would make that motion.
yeah, that and probably the, I don't know if you want to term it the soft temporary closure, but the temporary
Yeah.
closure of those roadways. And
I would make that.
I would second.
Got a motion by Nin, second by Mike, to approve the soft temporary closure of 63 Street and Hurstville Road on June 27th, 2026, approximately 8 to noon roughly is what the event runs, so. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I can just give a brief update. Channelworth is still slow going with the river rising quite a bit last week. It didn't have any working days last week, so the waters are receding there. On Z15 bridge, they are finishing up all the pier piling on the south pier already today, so moving along really well, actually. So,
And
and
they're reclaiming the way it sounds, so I heard a bunch of chatter and they see equipment moving and.
yep, and all the contract rock hauling or for Wendling is going on yet, and that's going real well, so we're in full speed here.
Cool.
I had some questions on, or calls on that, why are there personal people hauling rock? I said, well, we contracted and, it was financially feasible for us.
So the quarries we just sent out documents for the quarries, and so the quarries or the producers may hire outside haulers for them. Just takes us out of trying to coordinate all that by going right to the producers. I mean, the outside haulers would have to get the rock from the producers anyway, so. But so the producers may have private haulers haul for them. But yeah, or was the call directed towards that, or is it actually towards just having?
Took contracts that we awarded, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's just to try to keep caught up with getting and resurfacing our roads, because with us doing reclaim, our guys are wrapped up all summer doing that, and then when we're busy doing that, the rest of the roads are really not getting touched, so it's an effort to get them resurfaced as they need it, and it's honestly done cheaper than what we can do it. So it's kind of a win-win.
And more roads I travel, like, a lot of brush cutting going on, and I appreciate it very much.
Our roads continue to improve, so it's good to see, so keep up the good work.
I actually had a gentleman last weekend who usually their major thing that they'll only do is complain to you, made good comments. I was like, almost taken back.
Yes, we're trying, but it's hard to, it's a never ending process, but we're doing what we can.
They're doing good.
Got it. All right, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You got about 7 minutes. Do you want to do some of yours, Lisa?
Certainly can. This morning, I need a motion to approve the April 14th, 2026 meeting minutes as written by Auditor Smith and authorized publication in the official newspapers.
Move to approve.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve the minutes of the April 14th, 2026 meeting as written by Auditor Smith, authorized publication in the official newspapers. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve and authorize the auditor's office to issue warrants in the publication of the claims listing in the amount of $520,885.45.
Make a motion to approve.
I would second.
We got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to approve the auditor's office to issue warrants. Approve and authorize the auditor's office to issue warrants in the publication of claims in the listing in the amount of $520,885.45. Note in there's a $309,000 debt payment, I think, for the jail in non-departmental, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken. There's a $45,000+ payment to Vanguard for their residential reviews. There's quite a bit of rock in there, so those are the big expense ticket items on the claims.
It was rather refreshing until you got to that last line.
That last, yeah.
The last claim was $310,000.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We can by resolution do handwritten warrants for certain things. Last week we had a situation where we needed to have an insurance check written right away that it couldn't wait for this week's claims period. So I do need a motion to approve and authorize a handwritten warrant to the Jackson County Treasurer for $416.67 for an insurance reimbursement to Cisco for Lori Rolling's insurance.
So moved.
I will second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve and authorize signatures on a handwritten warrant to the Jackson County Treasurer for $416.67 to forward insurance reimbursement to Cisco for Lori Rowland. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I received a phone call last week from Bonnie Mitchell, from the Historical Society. They are in the process of having a celebration sometime maybe later on this summer. And I am asking today for a motion to approve the authorized chair signature on the exhibit license agreement for a traveling exhibit as part of the Jackson County Historical Society American 250th celebration to be held later this summer. We just need a signature on that. We were a little bit confused as far as if they should sign it, but Bonnie really felt since Jackson County owns the building that she would like to have chair signature.
So, I mean, I reviewed the poster and the whole smear.
Yeah.
So.
It's hard to read.
Don't
It's upside down.
Yeah, I know, yeah, one page is upside down and one
Oh, yeah.
page is right side up, and yeah.
Because it's on both sides, so the backside page is upside down, so it's right, wrong, right, wrong, right.
And that's part of the last thing I did last night.
And my only question is, it says there can be a license fee.
They're paying all of the fees and such. We're just authorizing the exhibit.
Okay,
The
because,
poster or the banner or
Yeah.
the.
yeah, it just says license fee amount to be added, site owner, if applicable, there's just, I don't know, do we feel comfortable signing something with blanks? That's my question.
I just got it yesterday at noon.
Yeah.
I guess I would
It's
like-
basically a pull-up display is what it is. The way way. Like the pictures looked right. That's what they're talking about, that display.
I didn't discuss that with.
Does she need this right away?
Unfortunately, she would prefer it right away, yes.
There's a lot of things we would prefer, you know, and I don't want to sound like, but it just the questions, because again, even in the main document, it talks about there is an expense unless there's certain things going on and, you know, I don't want to sign something, all of a sudden we get a bill for X number of dollars because,
Or
We
it's way
have-
more than they can afford and they
you know,
look to us then.
I assume, and I hate to say that, I assume that she has that covered, that obviously they're going to incur all expenses. The only reason she wants the board to be aware of it and have board signature is because of it being at Pearson Center, the Historical Society part at the Pearson Center.
So
where's
during what events are they putting
I
this?
think it's between that 250, they're having some big
I
250
don't think that date's been set yet.
anniversary thing,
So, okay, so it's no different than anyone else putting up.
right? I guess I would make a motion with the stipulation that the county is not going to occur any expense for this, that the expense will all be on the Historical Society.
I would second.
we got a motion by Nan to approve the chair's signature on this exhibit license agreement with the provision that no expenses incurred by the county is covered by the Historical Society. Is that right?
Yep.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all that I have for the board today. Thank you.
For now, yeah, all right, so we got a minute and a half. So, any boards or commissions we can talk about? Or how's the Waste Authority
I
doing?
stopped there yesterday. Well, we had a meeting yesterday. So it's going well. It's just basically some existing we're finishing up the wiring. They're still pulling some wires. They did have some illness with the contractor. A couple of his employees got really sick. So there were a couple of days they lost and, after we do all of this, of course, we have to have, inspections done. So we passed the DNR inspection. We had the electrical inspector there from the state. One of the outlet boxes was 4 inches too high. Oh, I think it was outside, so we're gonna put some dirt in there, so it ain't 4 inches too high. And the next little bumper, it might be on the light energy. They have to do some work to the transformer to hook it up back to the new station, and apparently they are like way behind and don't respond real well. So, hopefully by the end of the month, hopefully by next week, the wiring is completed and we can open without the office in there. We have a temporary office, so I'm still, don't hold me to it, but I'm still hoping for the end of the month for sure.
Okay. That's like
There's like some hitches
10
in
days
the
away.
giddy up.
9 days away. All right, it is now 9 o'clock and I will go ahead and open the public hearing for the FY 2027 budget. Have we heard anything about the budget as presented? Any public comments? Have we received anything?
I have not heard any.
Or not.
Is there anybody online or in the gallery that would like to address the board today as far as the public hearing for the budget? Hearing none.
I just would like to just kind of give a little bit of a brief overview.
Okay.
People need to understand that you don't come to today with a bunch of figures and no knowledge behind it. Actually, this process started back in November. Shelley sent out budget worksheets to all department heads to have them put their figures in to prepare a budget to be given to you for your consideration. That happened on November 13th. And then, as it was stated earlier today, the COM board did meet on December 4th. and they made their recommendation. I know that emails were sent back and forth a couple of times, trying to get the recommendation from the comp board. It was received on Friday. And there have been various work sessions between, I would say after the first of the year is traditionally when you start, till about the middle to late February. When you have all gone through, either through work sessions here in this office or where you have looked at them individually, wherever you've looked at them. But I know that you all have diligently gone through all of these budgets to make sure that what you're passing today is what you want and what we're trying to be within the parameters of our levy. On March 31st, then, after all of your decisions were made, Shelley went ahead. She emailed all of these worksheets to all of the department heads if they had any questions, comments, or concerns concerning their budget. And we did receive a couple that we had to address, very minor, but they were addressed. So, I mean, elected officials, department heads were given that opportunity to take a look at these proposed budgets to get to us where we're at today. So, Shelley, do you have anything you want to add? No. So that's just kind of an overall of, it's just not something that happens today. It takes many months to get to this point, and that we are looking at an overall minor, as far as I'm concerned, increase in the overall levy for the county. I think when you talk about what we're doing here, and to have an 8-cent overall levy increase is pretty good, given what the state has handcuffed us with. So,
And it continues to get tighter, and
It does.
we wait with bated breath to see what they decide to do this year, and whether it's active for this next budget or does it wait a year? A lot of different things. So,
You don't always know them.
Brian, is there anything you want to add?
Yes, firstly, I'd like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. John Keys asked that I prepare an advisory statement regarding the board's statutory obligations as they relate to the public hearing scheduled for today and the decisions to be made by the board thereafter. I'm sure I speak for the board when I say that the compensation board's work on this matter is greatly appreciated. Having reviewed their meeting, it was clear that they spent hours performing their duties, and from a review of their materials and minutes, they took their job seriously. In our review of the proceedings, the compensation board did fulfill its statutory role by considering the factors set forth in Iowa Code section 331.907 and making a recommendation with respect to the comparability of the proposed, or of the sheriff's salary, excuse me. Under that same statute, however, the role of the board is distinct from that of the compensation board. While the compensation board makes a recommendation, the Board of Supervisors is required to review that recommendation and determine the final compensation schedule. The recommendation of the compensation board is part of the record the board must consider, but it is not itself controlling. With respect to the sheriff's salary, the statute requires that the final compensation be comparable to the categories of law enforcement positions identified in 331.907. That is the standard this board must apply when considering the sheriff's salary. The question before the board is not whether to adopt a specific percentage recommended by the compensation board, but whether the final salary set by this board satisfies the statutory comparability requirement. As we sit here today, I'm sure that the board has reviewed the compensation board's recommendations and the materials considered by it, including the various comparator data discussed in the record. It is also my understanding that the board has received and reviewed comparator data provided by our Human Resources Department, which encompasses state law enforcement salaries, including state police command staff and DCI managers. Under 331.907, and per an opinion authored by the Iowa Attorney General, the board's responsibility is to weigh all of this information and reach its own determination as to what level of compensation meets the statutory comparability standard. Accordingly, the board may adopt the recommendation of the compensation board, or it may set a different amount, provided that the final salary remains comparable within the meaning of the statute. And that the board's reasoning is reflected in the record. The law's primary concern here is not budgetary concerns, but salary comparability. If the proposed budget for the sheriff's salary falls into a range of comparability as determined by the board, then that budget is in compliance with the law. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none.
I'd make a motion to close the public hearing.
Would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to close the public hearing on FY 27 budget. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is discussion of possible motion to take action to accept, place on file the compensation board recommendation.
I would make that motion.
I would second.
Got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to accept and place on file the compensation board recommendation. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is discussion of possible action on resolution 117504-21-2026 for FY 27 elected official salaries.
So we received two resolutions. Is this which resolution
So
is
the
it?
first resolution, the 1175 resolution, is a resolution certifying the Board of Supervisors approved salaries for all elected officials for fiscal year 26-27. So you had to have a separate resolution to approve the elected official's salary. That is 1175.
So moved.
I would second that.
We got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve resolution adopting resolution 1175-04-21-2026 for the FY 2027 elected official salaries. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The next resolution then is 1176, and that's a motion to approve that resolution 1176-04-21-2026, adopting the proposed Jackson County budget as published for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2026 and ending on June 30th, 2027, including the compensation board salary recommendation with adjustments.
I would make that motion.
I would second.
Got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to approve resolution 1176-04-21-2026 FY 27 budget. As stated, you want to read that back again or?
So this would be a motion to approve resolution 1176-04-21-2026.
Yep.
Adopting the proposed Jackson County budget as published for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2026 and ending on June 30th, 2027, including the compensation board's salary recommendation with adjustments.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And to finalize the budget, I need a motion to approve and authorize the chair and auditor to sign the adoption of budget and certification of taxes for fiscal year July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, and direct Auditor Smith to file all required forms with the Iowa Department of Management as required by law.
So moved.
I would second that.
I got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve the adoption of the budget as specified by the auditor, because that was really wordy. Do we need to repeat that back, sir, for January 1st, 2026
So just
to
your-
June 30th, 2027,
Yep.
and sending it to the state with all appropriate signatures required? Any
Yes.
other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And that concludes everything as far as the budget and everything that I have on my agenda for today.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
moving on, visitors and citizens.
Just want to make a
Oh,
statement.
go ahead.
that, you know, the budget process is one of the hardest things that we do.
It is.
And it consumes a lot of time. And then three to 4 months that when you start that with, and sometimes it's head scratching and it can be very stressful. So it is a process, just to let everybody know, and it is time consuming, and I appreciate all the work that your staff has done, human resources and everybody concerned here in the meetings we have with department heads, It's been a good workable process the whole time.
Yeah, there's a lot of time and effort by everybody in the county put into this.
You're making, and think about, you're working on something now that may not happen for another year from now. So that's what the whole budgeting process is, from equipment that needs to be purchased for secondary roads all the way to something that could happen in conservation, and there's just a lot of unknowns in a budget.
There's a lot of what if.
There is.
You don't know
And-
what's inflating and what's deflating and.
And then you also, the county pays those increase in fees, just like we as consumers do, that's one thing, and there's a lot of employees that you're also, approving, so it's not an easy task. It does take a lot of time.
Anything else? Next up, we got visitors and citizens. Is there anybody else online or in the gallery who would like to address the board today for something not listed on the agenda? Hearing none. Shelby, would you look and see, because Becca was walking around out there, and see if anybody's ready to go, because we're ready to move on. If somebody, I saw Andrew.
And here.
I saw him. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Nice to do it.
Spilled some water. Does anyone have a tissue?
We got some.
Okay, you're right.
Thanks, yep.
We'll fix it up. There you go.
All right, next up, we have Becca Fuap, the zoning administrator for her
Morning.
departmental update. Good morning.
Just a few quick zoning updates. The rules of procedure for both the zoning commission and the board of adjustment have been rewritten to align with the new zoning ordinance. They have been signed by both chairs, and I will be bringing forward an item to repeal and change resolution. The zoning commission also recommended approval of the Jackson Estates preliminary plat last night, so that will be coming before the board on a future agenda. We are also the zoning commission is making good progress on the data center ordinance, despite having to cancel the January and March meetings due to weather. And aside from that, I've continued working through permits, zoning inquiries, and general ordinance and process related work.
Mhm. Any questions for Becca?
Well said.
You thought you came prepared.
Yes,
You did all that work.
that's it. That's what I've been doing.
What time frame, yeah.
You didn't leave much room for questions or doubt in that. I mean,
Fenced and it's all there.
I was gonna say, I appreciate your emails and I appreciate the information. I mean, there was a lot of stuff involved with the subdivision plat and the ordinances and the what do you call it, your covenants and all that, yes.
There was last night,
Oh.
when I was preparing their seats, it was all spread out and they're like, you have a lot of stuff for us tonight.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate
We do.
our county engineer also
Yes,
helping out in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking a lot of stuff when you're talking water retention and grading and
yes.
slope design, and I'm thinking, okay, now I know what 10% is on a basis of 1 to 100, but if I'm looking at
Yeah,
the incline of the road, what is 11.5%? Give
yeah,
me a hill that's 11, and I appreciate the explanation in there of different roads that said that's pretty steep, that's.
yeah.
10%.
David's report was really great.
Yeah.
And then, Eric's pointing out other places that had,
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that you normally don't think about as you're driving it, but
I'd like to do that on my vehicle. I can look at the different percents just to kind of get them ideas in your mind when these things do come up.
wow, yeah, that'd be.
Yeah, there's a lot of information there, I appreciate that, yeah.
well, it seems like you really kind of come in and hit your stride in this office. We appreciate
Well, I'm enjoying every day.
it.
Looks good.
Keep it up.
Uh-huh. Some more than others, but I'm enjoying every day.
Some more than others.
One complaint a year, yeah.
But good luck with that.
We appreciate everything you're putting into
Well,
it.
thank you. I appreciate the support for sure.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Great time.
Thanks,
Thank
Megan.
you.
Next up, we have Ruth from the Veterans Affairs Office. Good
Morning,
morning.
Ruth.
Good morning. I will try to also be concise with next. So our March activity log, we checked the status of 41 claims. We had 15 decisions made, and one partial decision. We submitted 3 updates on claims to the VA, filed 9 new claims, 6 appeal style claims. We did 4 intent to files, 6 VA healthcare applications, and 4 dependent benefits were filed. So quite a few forms coming out of our office. We had a total of 271 interactions, 123 phone calls, 42 emails, 50 in-person visits, 18 faxes, 17 postal mailings, and then 31 unspecified. Basically, those are notes and things we're taking on our things that we're working on. And then our secretary answered 45 phone calls and helped with 17 clients that came in the door. So in February, we had a total of 427 veterans and or their eligible dependents receiving $876,474 in benefits. There were 80 open claims. We filed 61 of those. So our percentage of claims was 76% for February that came out of our office. So a little bit of an increase there. I attended IDVA Spring School last week. Training was presented by lawyers from the National Veterans Legal Services Program. Very intense 3 days of training, but it was really good. There were approximately 75 county veteran service officers in attendance from different counties in Iowa. Training, how to file claims, different types of claims, benefits for survivors, special monthly compensation benefits that maybe we don't always think about because normally the VA should apply them automatically. But we need to be aware of them too, just in case we see a veteran's claim and we're like, hey, wait, you might qualify for something extra. We also had, so yesterday we had an event in Bellevue. We did a luncheon question and answer event, and we had about 14 people that came, but we actually had a really great discussion about VA healthcare and survivors benefits and, just different things of interest to the individuals. We actually had a comment that we should do a workshop based around, VA healthcare and what options they have for that. And then also the benefits for survivors. So I thought that was a good plan. April 22nd, which is tomorrow, we will be at the Bloom, Move, and Thrive Senior Wellness Expo at the Y from 10 until noon. And then May 28th, we have our Veterans Appreciation Night at the Drive-In. Yeah, and then I think it said something about minutes.
Yeah, approve and place on file the minutes of the Veterans Affairs March 11th meeting.
Correct. I do need a motion to accept and place on file the Veterans Affairs meeting minutes for the March 11th, 2026 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to approve and place on file the Veterans Affairs minutes for the March 11th, 2026 meeting. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
I got a question.
Yes.
Oh,
So one time we discussed, was there a new program coming for rides for veterans to medical appointments and such?
Yes. So the last update that I got on that was that our van was there and then our van needed work. So our van is currently getting worked on. So
did RTA get a hold of you?
yes, we talked and we had some collaboration and then the ball got dropped. I don't know why they're my side or their side. I was waiting for information from them and then
Maybe reach out
got
again.
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to them again because we had
Sound like we get a van, you could get a van from Enterprise if they do that rental van like they do with University of Dubuque, where they supply a van and they use that to shuttle students around. That was the intent, is they were looking for more ways to generate rides, and we talked about this program and they were gonna see if it would qualify to get
Oh, and we didn't talk about that at all. We had talked about something entirely different. So okay.
Yeah, I would have that discussion.
Okay, that I had not heard about.
See,
So-
that was my impression, that when I recommended the call is that,
Okay,
okay.
There was that, and I think just setting up certain times to go to the
Yeah,
VA
we
from
did talk about
like the
that.
city of Macokota or the city of Bellevue
Yeah.
or.
Yes, we did have that discussion. And we were going to collaborate on information for a newspaper article. And so then I was waiting for the information on that side. I didn't receive it. My guess is things got really busy and, as does happen. And on my part, I didn't reach back out either. So, you know,
Let's reach out and stay in touch because,
Okay.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's a good,
Yep.
good services
Yeah.
there that we could help a lot of people.
Yes.
maybe.
And ask him about that.
yeah, that we did not discuss, so I will ask
Yeah,
about that.
ask him about that.
Okay.
They've been looking to try to expand that program.
Okay,
And if we could utilize it, that would be great.
okay,
And I think it would
It's
need
for
more.
everybody's benefit, if we can use the program and then you get compensated for on your rides, you know, so.
mm-hmm,
It kind of works hand in hand. I had an extensive conversation with a gentleman that had some real concerns of his grandfather, and he just couldn't be there every day to do this, and he's, who he was injured, and he was a veteran, and he needs to go to the medical appointments, and he has no way to get there.
right, yeah, which is,
They
is-
give him your office number and, said I would have an extensive talk, you know, I
sure,
suggested that he, you know,
okay,
he would pay for whatever the portion of it was or whatever, but
Mhm.
it's,
but it's hard to
he-
arrange.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he has some support
Mm-hmm.
or some guidance of how to go about this, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's a unique situation, you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
there's a lot
A
of
lot of people
people
out there.
in
Yeah.
that same boat.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I will definitely reach back out to RTA. I will ask them about that enterprise program. I had not heard about that. And then we'll kind of see if we can't.
And then he's gonna
Something
work,
like that.
also try to work with the Bellevue RTA too, which is, you know, all Ontario, whatever, it's,
Okay.
yeah, so.
Okay,
Hopefully it works something out, help him out, so,
Right.
yeah.
right. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we got Andrew Long with the jail administrator update.
And if these gentlemen need to go, they can go first too, and.
It's up to you. Do you guys want to go? Flip it. Paper, rock, paper, scissors. I don't care.
Some guys got anything to do, but, you know.
Good morning, and I
Good morning.
apologize, I did not get this out sooner, Lisa even reminded me. I
Yeah,
just got tied up with some stuff, so here's this for you.
We'll try to work on that, because it is nice to get everything together,
Sure,
that we
absolutely.
can look at it over the weekend and. We all know things come up.
There you go. Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy couple of weeks here lately, but good in the fact of our numbers are significantly increased. So that's on that end is a plus. So currently we're, as of yesterday, I should say, we're sitting at 42 inmates. So 84% capacity. Again, with the idea of being full at 80, we're right there. We probably, I can't tell you for sure, but that's probably about the most females we've ever had at 9 females.
That's true.
What?
Nothing.
Hey, now,
So we are holding quite a few females right now for Scott County. We had one of our own here for a while. She ended up getting out. Otherwise, we're at 33 Scott County inmates and 9 of our own for the total of 42. In March, we had a high count of 37, but the average was 27.35. So probably in the last, I'm gonna say, week of March, we got in 2 pretty large shipments from Scott County. We also got another smaller one here earlier this week, but I'm fairly confident that our count has stayed above 40 all of April so far. Not much turnover in the Scott County inmates either. Sometimes we see where there's, you know, here and there and dropping off of beds and taking quite a few, but I think since the start of April, we've only lost 4 of what we had. Got 2 more in, but not as much turnaround, which is nice too in terms of the
not as much booking and.
exactly the wear and tear of that. Yep. So revenue for Scott County for March would be $36,465. So this fiscal year running total $364,710. Overall for the facility, $525,420. Of that, all of it's been deposited, except for this most recent March, $36,465. That was billed on April 3rd. I'm not sure how their turnaround time works, but that has been billed on April 3rd. No housing out expenditures over the last month. Otherwise, 47 people booked in, which is an increase, most likely relating to the big Scott County shipments we got. Documented checks at 54,763. Inmate specific notes was at 6,952. That's at an increase. We have seen some rather challenging inmates here in recent weeks with some mental health issues, that sort of a thing that require a little bit more intensive supervision, but also documentation. So that's why that's up. And meals are 2,050. I included for you guys here this time kind of an overview of our average daily population over time, so that we can kind of look at where we're at by year, but also at specific months. It's kind of helpful in my mind to be able to see, is it common to be lower at this part of the year? Is it common to be higher at that part of the year? Both with ours and with Scott County. So I kind of included that in here if you guys have any questions on that. I plan on continuing just to do that so we can see a little bit better picture of what it looks like over time and some trends in terms of what we're getting in and if it's normal or something seems off. So additionally, then we did have a gentleman that was in custody on full violation that spent several days out at St. Luke's Hospital in Cedar Rapids. All that does get billed to Department of Corrections. I've been trying to work with them. It's hit and miss, and if you can get a hold of anybody out there to figure out how exactly that bill needs to be tabulated for them, because we are dealing with the issue of housing, but also the issue of mileage, wages. We did tell St. Luke's to direct bill them the medical costs. So unless they really buck that, that'll go direct to them. By code, they are responsible for the cost of that inmate. So we'll find out exactly what that looks like. I've been, like I said, kind of going back and forth with them, trying to get some answers, but the bigger the department, sometimes the harder to get a hold of people. So
Exactly. No, this all looks good. And I know with us coming towards the end of April, we have May and June left in the year. I know you guys, I'm sure you've been talking with Brent. We need to make sure with the auditors that we get you guys covered, whatever you need to transfer over to help make sure we have enough money to buy the food and what we need. So,
yep. No, we appreciate you guys being very helpful with that. And just the talks earlier, budget and all that. I mean, we do our best to really try to watch everything. We're doing our best to continue to watch costs as much as we can. We went to a different food provider that's much more reasonable. So we've been happy with that. It's Martin Brothers it's called, but the guy was telling me that pretty much all of their employees are, they have stake in the game. They have, I don't know if it's profit sharing or what it is, but essentially, there's a lot of commitment from all employees at that level as opposed to others. So, so far we've been very happy with them. Also in terms of budget, you guys and Lisa and Shelley do a lot of work that, a lot of us don't even realize just how much you do. So we do appreciate that and know that on our end, we're doing what we can to watch as much as we can too. So.
well, we appreciate everything you guys are doing. And hopefully you can see that we're trying to do our best to help you guys along and change. It might be change different things, but the goal is to have a better product and make sure we're taking care of our workers in the best way we can. So,
yep. And we're very much appreciative of it. It's been a good working relationship and we're happy with everything.
And now we're about 4 months into the switch over with the additional full-time.
Yes.
Are we having the desired effect? Is everything
We are,
calming the waves?
it is.
How's housing these 9 females affecting us?
Well,
Causing any issues? Cause as,
No.
I don't know if the public knows, if we have females, obviously, we have to have a female on duty then.
right. And so we are facing some level of overtime. Ultimately, we're gonna have a female regardless in the event that a female is arrested. With that, we are using attempting to use Karen and Kim a little more in the jail to help offset any female overtime costs that we might have. That's probably one of our biggest overtime costs is just managing females and the time off, of course, that they need to. All of our employees, but particularly our female employees, are very good about kind of working with each other to cover for each other without incurring a bunch of overtime. So,
And we have heard that, and we do appreciate that from all of your staff, that they're willing to kind of shift schedules to help with that.
yeah, absolutely. I think they all are very appreciative of everything you've done for them. And I think they all have the same desire to do as well as we can. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
We thank you very much and keep up the good work.
thank you much.
You bet.
Have a good day.
Yep, you as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Leo McGarity and Med Spec from ECIA, and welcome. Talking about the revolving loan fund.
Yes, been a while.
Yes.
We did receive.
Did we ever get him appointed chair of the board yet, or the chair of the committee?
I think he is. A question we have, I guess, before we get into this, because Paul Peterson with Bellevue State is retiring,
Okay.
or has retired and come back a few times, so he's not. Anyhow, he's got a new person he would like to appoint from Bellevue State's.
I just think that was part of our last
I don't
conversation.
think we ever,
Did
on our side, if we have to appoint him, I don't know that we.
I don't know when we ever, it was a yearly thing when we got those.
We just want to make it official.
Sure, no,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, whatever.
And then the other question we had too is, since US Bank closed all of their Jackson County branches,
Mhm.
should we replace their spot with somebody from Citizens, since now they have a presence in Jackson County?
I would think that would
That'd be a
be.
great idea.
So I will get that. I'll work with Lisa to get those changes.
Yes.
Can we get it before next fiscal year?
27, okay?
So let's shoot for next fiscal year. Can we do it before
July
that?
first, maybe we just get on like a July 1st.
There you go. Just,
I'd like to see a full board and, consideration done to these projects as they come. I know they're sparse sometimes and they come in bunches sometimes, so it's nice to have a full board on there to input.
And I will say the board members have always been very, they show up, and like I said, it's usually good dialogue, Leo, with the group, so everybody participates well, so. But the two applications we have today for you guys to consider, so the Preston Family Chiropractic, he's been in Preston about a year in their incubator space. Business is going well. He has the opportunity to buy property in Preston to grow his business. So what he came to the revolving loan board for was to purchase real estate at 144 North Mitchell Street in Preston. Jackson County loan would be for $120,000 for 20 years. A 6% interest rate. The Jackson County loan would have the first mortgage on the real estate, and then the personal guarantee of the owner and the operating company of the business. Again, the committee met on April 8th, reviewed the financials in the request, and did recommend approving this one.
I guess I have some questions. So, I mean, when we started a whole revolving loan, is there other job opportunities here, or is it just his practice, his loans?
He's looking at doing other things. He's looking at creating about 2 jobs, but there's other things within his practice he wants to kind of expand into.
I think there was a discussion of maybe massage therapist, but yeah, so some thoughts of that, yes, but yes, some thoughts.
And my collateral is the land itself. Has it been sold for a long time and owned by who? The city is?
No, so it's, yes, the collateral is the property that he's buying. It's not owned by the city, it's owned by another private individual, and I'm not aware that I think it's a private transaction, so I don't think it was listed with a realtor. My understanding is it currently was a hair salon, this is my understanding.
So there's a structure there also?
Yes, yeah, he's buying a building to
Existing
put
building
his business in.
with that sounds like minimal improvements too.
Yep.
I guess I have just a tough time with like, it seems like it's one personal person.
I know,
And
I
I
guess-
understand it's a business, but it's. I mean, we don't have multiple employees involved here.
No, I mean, like I said, he's looking at adding some as he goes. It's him. He does have a person right now that I guess would be a receptionist. I
Mhm.
think works on
Yeah.
some insurance stuff for him. So, and then yes, if he's able to do this expansion, maybe massage therapy, and then maybe another,
is 20 years a normal term for revolving
For-
loan?
for real estate loan, yes, it's a little long, but we did get into some real estate loans in the past. And that's typical is 20 years for a
Okay,
payback.
because before we get into, I have two questions, because I know there was a sale of a business that had a revolving loan fund. And there is potentially the sale of property for somebody who has a revolving loan fund. Do we get made right in this, or, because the one thing that I will say is that with the revolving, loan, we don't really get a feedback, what's the status very often, what's going on, this happened, activity, so, I mean, the one business is gone.
Correct, and that's, we're trying to work through with the new business coming in to see what they're going to need.
No, but the
before-
one that left had a loan with us.
Correct,
So we.
Did it get made whole?
On, so to answer your question, it's not paid in full. To
Not-
directly answer your question, we still have, right, correct, we still have the real estate as collateral.
Yeah,
And so, but it's a good question. I think,
because to me, we gave them money, they sold, they should pay back, and then if we do something with the new person, great.
sure.
so.
You know what I mean? So that's what, before we enter in any kind of real estate, to me, they can't just, well, roll it to the next guy. Well, the first guy got the money, and we should get paid back. So then if the second person needs, then we can make something with
So the
them.
second person also.
You know, the other one is for sale. I just want to make sure we have a position on the mortgage, and when it gets finalized and sold, we get made right.
And we do, because that particular business had multiples, and when he sold the business, the part where we had collateral on like moldings and stuff that he had, that loan was paid in full. The real estate has not yet been paid in full, but we do have a mortgage position on it. And again, yes, as we're working through it.
Is there?
Are we just mortgage?
I need to go back and check. It's us and Premier Bank. And either they're first or second, or we're first and they're second. But
You know, I mean, I guess, yeah, there ain't can any transfers done or title opinion done to say that there's a mortgage due. I mean, obviously it's gonna show up and you gotta make it right to transfer any deed, of course, but. You know, just on this, yeah, just so we're on the up and up here, and I assume we are, you know.
correct. And like I said, I've been in contact with both parties. And the both of those.
Because I look at those, then I look at this, and it isn't much I have to me, this just more seems like we're in direct competition with a bank, and I didn't think, you know, just for somebody wanting to buy a building so they can run a business, cool. I mean, if that's what's for, but usually it was to spark employment, you know, that kind of stuff. I just want to make sure if we're gonna do these kind of loans, which I'm not opposed to, because in my 3 years here, we have done very few revolving loan funds. So what's the point of the program if we're not gonna use it? But I want to make sure we get made right. And if a business got sold a couple of months ago, we should be made right so we can continue this. Because
Yeah, I think the point that maybe has come up in this dialogue is, you know, is there some verbiage in our notes that says, you know, is it due upon sale of business? I mean, and I don't know, maybe this is a learning point that maybe it, you know, I don't know if it's in there or not, so.
And like I said, the business part is, but we gotta see, I guess, the real estate hasn't been transferred yet, and that's where the loan that's still outstanding
Okay.
is on real estate.
I just want to make sure we're in a position we can recoup it back.
Again, I'm gonna go back to the point, it can't be transferred until it's free and clear.
Correct, yeah, so we do have a
Okay,
mortgage,
okay.
but your point that the business is no longer employing anyone and we have the note out there is still valid, right? So I think
Okay,
we
nice.
probably should look at that and see if going forward, you know, maybe there's.
I mean, and we're good with both businesses, and we understand that the new business also has a revolving loan with us, so. I mean, that was our part of the revolving loan, and that, you know, maybe just prior to you two getting on, we made substantial loans, and then we probably got a little tight with what was left until we got.
I think we were down to 100,000 maybe.
Yeah,
And now it's back up
That
to,
wasn't much, yeah.
I think about 900,000, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, it was down there. It was
As
down.
long as we're in the position to get made right on those other ones, I mean, and again,
And that we're following what the revolving loan is set out to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if it is to grow businesses, grow employment,
Yes.
type of deal versus I don't wanna be in I don't want Jackson County to be in competition with Macocata State Bank or Citizen State Bank or any bank,
Yeah.
And I think that's why the relationship's always been good, having those representatives from all
Right.
those local banks
Right.
on that board to have those discussions with.
Yeah, I don't think it's viewed as being in competition with us, I'll say that, but it is a kind of a delicate middle ground, right? Because to your point, Don, like, as I learn about this and I'm new to it, I'm kind of like, well, if we're gonna have these funds, let's, they don't do any good sitting in the
Right.
bank, let's get them out the door, but, then what is the guardrails on how they go out the door, right? I
Right.
think Matt and I have talked that we probably need to get back with you guys to kind of revise those guardrails because they're a little different than what they were 25 years ago, right?
Right.
Like, 25 years ago, it was manufacturing, business comes, creates 20 jobs, that checks all the boxes. Well, those don't come along as much anymore, so maybe we need to redefine that, but, so not open the net super, too wide, but open it some so that, I think the goal is that these funds have a positive impact on the economy.
Grow
Small
Jackson
businesses.
County.
Yeah, right. So I guess we still need to work on that. But I tend to think these two are businesses that improve the local economy of Jackson County, albeit I don't know that we can point to 5 new jobs, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the competing with the local banks. I don't want to think too deep into this, but we have all the local bank on the committee. They look at it and said, well, we don't want this. Let's give it to the revolving loan. Am I looking too deep?
I know, I think there's a point where you I think in general, the history has been, this feels like it checks a lot of the boxes for what's good for the economy. Maybe it doesn't quite fit the conventional bank platform, I think that's where some of these end up, but
Yeah.
again, I'm new to it, I don't, I'm still learning some of the
Well,
guardrails.
I do appreciate.
Well, I guess going forward, whether we do this one or not, going forward on a residential or real estate one, I don't know if I really support a 20-year note is maybe we do a 5 or 10-year
Yeah.
with a refinance somewhere in there where it gets in a better position or whatever, because I don't know.
That probably makes sense, because then, then in theory, in 5 years, if it works for conventional financing. then
Because in
I get-
20 years,
then
there's
I-
a good chance none of us are gonna be sitting here in this room going, oh, they paid it off, you know what I mean? Tell me I'm wrong,
Yeah, right.
so that's a long way down the pipeline, so.
And then in 5 or 7 years, if it fits the conventional lending
Sure.
market, then you
Yeah.
free up those funds for another.
That's right.
project. So
I don't feel like we need to be the total support, but maybe a hand, so to speak, to get them to a better position. And so that's more the way I was thinking is,
So could we do a 7-year balloon note
Well,
on a
let's,
year?
let's just do, what about the fact they say you could amortize over 20, but let's balloon it in 5 or 7,
No, we can do that. I mean, if that's what the board,
I mean, then we can review it again, like you say, and extend it or move on.
because you might find
His
it,
position may change too.
5 years or so, interest rates might be a lot different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I just locking something up for 20, we got 900,000 in the bank where you're taking 120 of it out and locking it down for
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, right.
That's where I'd like to see if we could get maybe a 5 or whatever. We can do it for this line, it would kind of be more of a bridge loan to
Yeah.
get people in a better position to be able to get conventional.
I mean, they build equity and they build.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's completely reasonable. I mean, I assume that works
Correct.
from your perspective, a 5-year balloon. So maybe what if we modified it to the 5-year balloon at same rate, 20-year payback schedule? So
Yeah, I mean, advertising 20 and.
yeah, amortize at 20, but mature in 5. So
Yeah. And we're just talking about that one in particular at this
Yes.
point, correct?
correct, yes.
It's like, considering it's mainly real estate.
Right.
That would be
With the board, I think the board's kind of intention that hopefully they can get conventional financing after that
Right.
time to free up money for.
Makes
It's just, that's
complete sense, yeah.
for a project like that, that's just a long time to
Yeah.
tie down funds, because it really will, you do 3 or 4 of those and we got no funds for a long time. So.
Yeah, so good point. Does that
Do
cover?
we need,
So,
do we need a motion on that then?
so are we tabling that or are we coming back with a different,
We're just modifying it, I think, to
Modify it.
5-year balloon on a 20-year amortization.
Yeah.
We
Are we-
cannot disperse the funds until after our budget amendment.
Right.
We don't have the money.
Okay.
We have to, and we put 400,000 into the budget amendment on May 5th. So our
That-
budget amendment isn't until May
It's
5th.
not gonna.
We cannot disperse any money until after this.
We won't close either loan.
So do you want to come back with new paperwork, or do you want us to just approve what we talked about?
I'm fine with just approving it, what we talked about, if,
I guess would the board be, I mean, you guys kind of made a record.
Yeah, I'm sure the board's good with that. I think I can speak for the board
Yeah.
that we would like approval, so approval at a 5-year balloon, 20-year amort at 6%.
okay, I would make that motion to approve that, transfer agreement, as modified or amended, with the disbursement.
Is it a 5 or a 7-year loan?
Well, amortized over 20 with a 5-year balloon. Right?
5-year note
Amortized over 20 years with a 5-year
balloon.
balloon.
Yeah.
So I would say, I mean, it's okay to approve the loan at 7%, but I would not approve the transfer agreement. 7%, wasn't it?
6%. With the disbursement after,
So then I would not
We would just have.
sign the transfer agreement yet then until that's corrected. So it's okay to approve the loan then, but I would not,
we
I would
get you
have-
a transfer.
Yeah.
I would have him send a new transfer agreement.
And, yeah, I mean, you can probably send that, and you don't have to be here, or whether you can zoom in or whatever, or if you wanna drive down, you can.
Next day.
Okay.
So
so
then you're,
second that.
got a motion by Mike, second by Nan, to approve the project. The revolving loan fund request for Henriksen Property Group LLC, doing business as Preston Family Chiropractic, for amortized loan over 20 years with a 5-year balloon at 6%. Is that it?
Yes.
Any, yeah, as amended.
Huh?
Yeah.
As a- Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we got the
The next one is Mississippi Valley.
Mississippi Valley Metals LLC.
So they are looking at purchasing actually a mobile trailer, so they will fabricate steel right on site, so they will go out to job sites and fabricate the metal right there and put it up on the roof. So he's looking at purchasing this piece of equipment. It's our loan with the Jackson County revolving loan be $186,390 for 7 years at 5%. The borrower is putting the 10% down, so $20,710. He's thinking at least 2 jobs. He's got some other things in the works that probably will lead to more, but he thinks for this specific one, about 2 jobs. Our collateral would be the piece of equipment and then the personal guarantees of the 2 owners, Steve and Matthew. Again, the review committee met and did recommend approval of this one as well.
All right, this one's a 7-year loan. And interest rate of 5%, and they're putting down the 20,710, 10% of the project. Any thoughts, comments, concerns, or motion?
I mean, I assume we made justification that this piece of equipment is of X amount of value.
Correct.
He's
Brand new
rolling-
coming.
He's just rolling these sheets out as long as you need them, and we wouldn't have had to wait for somebody to come in or order them and bring them to us.
Right.
Exactly. Thinking of a scenario of that a couple months ago.
Exactly.
Might be convenient to have in the area, is that what you're saying?
No, I know there's other couple businesses that do that, and maybe they're not local. No, I
We would make a motion to approve the Mississippi Metals.
You're talking the transfer agreement at this point, correct?
I would approve the loan first.
Approve the loan.
Okay, I would second that.
We got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to approve the revolving loan to Mississippi Valley Metals LLC in the amount of $186,390 for a 7-year loan at 5%, with the borrower contributing to 20,710, 10% of the project. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, then we have the transfer agreement, but that can't transfer until the 5th.
Correct.
Do you want to hold off on that, or do we
That's up to you.
put a caveat on it?
And you can hold off and do them both next time. Like I said, neither one's gonna close, like I said.
Okay.
We gotta go back and work on paperwork on our end and stuff anyhow, so.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any difference. I mean, you could make it, you could approve it with that date being. Whatever.
So we can kill a lot of birds when you come back, because we can get Leo approved as the
You
head of
get
the
your new
board, and we can
appointment to Bellevue, you get your new appointment to.
citizen state, you know, and we can kind of see with the terms and who all's on there, and we'll go from there, and then we can get these other 2 transfer agreements done,
And that's May.
After May 5th.
yeah, maybe
So you could come May 5th, is that?
2 weeks, yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll have a budget amendment that day and then, we'll make all of that. So,
As long as we do the budget at first.
we'd still have to cut checks and, I was just gonna see where we're at with claims. See, we paid claims
Today, so 2 weeks
We
would
will
be-
pay claims, so really, we wouldn't pay claims then for another 2 weeks.
Till the 22nd.
So you got anywhere between the 5th and the 19th to come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see what works on our calendars.
Sounds good.
Give you a little breathing room to get all this stuff taken care of.
So is there benefit to us having some just further discussion with you guys at some point to make sure that we're executing this the way you would hope, as far as what are the guardrails, what are the questions as?
Well, that's something we need, maybe that's a separate thing we need to talk about, is just as far as, again, because, we haven't really seen a lot
Here's
of.
what I would say. I don't know when these decisions were made or when your meetings were made or when we got any documentation on it. But I got it last night at 7:30 and I didn't get home till 10:30. So this is my review of it this morning. So I didn't know. I didn't check into any businesses who they were or I had nothing to fall back on.
So getting it earlier.
I really appreciate the recommendation.
Yeah.
Involving loan board.
Right. But I mean, you've referenced that as a working session at some point, yes? Is that
Well,
worthwhile that we do that?
Would we wanna set up with that?
Work session
Session
to
with
kind
the
of go
full
over
committee.
what,
Talk about what kind of loans we do, and
Right.
if we want to change any of the
Right.
definitions of.
Historically, what the parameters have been and what they should be going forward. Is that-
Right.
So is
If
that,
you want me to work with Lisa to get maybe some dates for a work session, I can work with the
Yeah.
committee on
Sure,
our side
that
to
would be good,
get it.
because if we start getting into real estate for 1 or 2 people or whatever, I run a home business, I run this,
Yeah,
and then are we buying houses, and, we just need to have some more parameters.
Right.
Is it commercially zoned, is it, all that, all things that, we just need to be specific in what we're looking for.
Maybe just a little more input.
Yeah,
sure, yeah. We can certainly get to the information sooner.
Well, I don't know when you can.
And we can, I mean.
We meet as needed, I guess, and it's
Yeah.
usually downstairs and it's
Yeah.
usually somewhere between 9.
Oh,
and
you
noon.
meet here?
Yeah, we meet
Yeah.
here, so even if somebody wanted to join,
Yeah.
isn't an issue.
ex officio, maybe.
I don't know that, we wanna interact or have a.
Input.
Well,
but
I don't wanna.
maybe we could join and then we could kind of bring it back, but, so we have a heads up, so you have time to research.
But in the same sense, I don't wanna influence the decision of anybody
Sure.
else.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we can, I think if we have a working session, we can try to figure out the best path forward so that,
Yeah.
maybe you have a little bit more time to look at it and we decide kind of, this kind of fits, this doesn't fit. And I think that would be healthy for both of us, because I think right now we're trying to get some money out the door, but not be too aggressive, I guess,
Okay.
right? And so, so,
Appreciate it.
You betcha. Thank you very much.
yeah.
And you guys have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
All right. Haven't jumped all over the schedule today. I think we're down to any other boards or commissions left, right?
Senior
Phil-
Center met. They're kind of still going forward. They were wondering where we were at, and I'm like, we're waiting on insurance, as we all know, for the remodel, but they're going forward. They have some more fundraising going on. They got some other things they're wanting to bring up. They're actually gonna be a part of what, I believe Ruth was talking about up at the Y tomorrow. Having some information up there and stuff like that. But yeah, they're eagerly. They pursued a few grants for like some paint and stuff like that to try to keep things moving. They're looking at kind of grant for beautifying up the upfront, kind of so we're not having to mow and having accidents of rocks kicking up and things like that. So they're doing a great job trying to work on them type of things. So.
Last week I had Macocata River Water Management Authority and Limestone Bluffs, and if you remember, I told you guys that Erin, the director for the Macocata River Water Management Authority, accepted another position. She's moving to be the watershed coordinator for Cedar Rapids. And so we met with the idea of pursuing to get somebody hired to fill her. So we're getting ready to advertise that. And in doing so, we collaborated with Erin and Michelle, who runs Limestone Bluffs. And there were some thoughts about the fact that they usually both go to the same events. They usually have booths together that may be a little bit more collaborative effort because they're both doing kind of the same amount of administration stuff, that maybe we could kind of fine tune how we're doing this, and maybe with the new water management authority director, look for more of a technician based, and they could kind of work in tandem. So one's doing more of the administrative, one's more doing in the field stuff, and maybe we can get some more bang for our buck and be more specific, and actually, so the watershed could actually focus on trying to get a creek off the restricted or pollutant list, so to speak. And so that's something we're looking into. And hopefully within the next month or so, we'll have somebody in place to do that. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else for the good of the board?
My calendar's gonna change a little bit. I sent a couple, like, there's a DCAT meeting and a ACAT meeting coming up, so
I'll take a look at it.
I'll keep track of them.
Okay. I did not respond back to Wayne Kennecker. I mean, I didn't know what.
I think I sent back that I would probably go.
Okay.
I sent
I
it.
put back that I would go because I think I'm already up there for a meeting.
I mean, I think it's just.
I understand his intent, yeah.
It's just to look at. I mean, we're,
Yes.
you know,
We can better ourselves.
Well, I noticed he listed on there 911 dispatch.
Yeah, well, I figured that's where it come from to begin with. I mean, they approached us 3 or 4 months ago at a meeting. And if it's possible, yeah, I don't know where that's going for.
All right. Anything else for the good of the meeting?
No further business, I'd make a motion, we adjourn.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to adjourn. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Have a good day, everybody, and enjoy the sunshine.